My name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I have traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, your delight when you need it most.
Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brandon Croucher, and we're starting over 2.0. Gavin Kerr, I'd love to see you, my friend. You are so adorable. I told
There's
you
so much food in your mouth. Please swallow
I need
it.
to eat. Sounds like
Are you terrorizing my dog right now? Is that what you're doing? Because he doesn't sound happy.
He's actually begging for food, and I'm ignoring him. He really is.
Is he?
He's looking right. Like, if you came out and looked where my sandwich is and where he's looking, he's fine. He's just begging.
I don't want him going.
Do you guys hear that snapping noise?
Him,
That's how Gavin gets my attention nowadays. I'm like a dog to him. He's like, Brandon, and I turn around and I gotta respond right away. So I'll sit. I'm sitting.
Yeah, no, I love my snap. It's like a whip.
I'm like a 5-year-old when I want to be silly.
Oh, you were like a 5-year-old last night.
All right, tell everybody about my drunkenness, because apparently I was quite funny. I got to Gavin's house, and apparently, you know what? Let's have some fun. Bob Seymour, ladies and gentlemen, look at him sitting there in the background. He's laughing at us. He has this background of him in paradise.
Yeah.
He's got a wedding tomorrow, right, buddy?
Last night.
Well,
how'd it go?
Sideways.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was different. We tried, we did it live, but we didn't have anybody to film it, so I just put the phone in my shirt pocket, and we.
Oh, you did like a Facebook Live.
Right, I did a redneck microphone holder thing. I just put the camera in my pocket.
When you said live, I was very confused. I was like, do you usually do marriages for the deceased?
Well, I'm not going there, brother.
He's like, I'm going to leave it.
I've seen a lot of dead people standing at the altar, but I'm going to leave it there.
Oh. All right.
Well said. So Bob is in Florida.
Did what?
Really quick. Can you tell when a couple is going to last or not? Have you gotten to that point?
Yeah, I pretty much can. I mean, so you never really know, but I have intuition type things that, and I always try to warn them. When I do like a premarital for a new couple that's just getting married out, I'll take them aside and talk to them separately and then talk to them together. And I used to have this, I forget what it is, it's some kind of psychological chart and whatnot. I can tell people's personalities and all that.
Yeah.
But generally, it's my gut. I mean, but they're going to do it whether I marry them or not. So I used to get a lot of flack because my church was named Abide in Divine Fellowship. So we're first in the phone book, and we get all these calls. My secretary would, and she'd forward them to me, and then I'd meet with these people and do the premarital stuff with them. And but it was fun. But I'm glad I'm not in that anymore, man. I wouldn't trade a minute of the 30 years I spent in the pulpit because it prepared me for what I'm doing today. But I don't want to go back, man. I've turned down.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, I turned down probably half a dozen or more offers to go back and take over churches and places. And I'm like, nah. I mean, if Jesus was sitting on the other side of the table here and told me, I want you to start pastoring this church, I'd hit him up for picture ID, and then I'd ask to see the hole in his hands and his side.
Bob, I think you and I have the same concept on this with the religion part. Like, it's not the building you want to be a part of. You want to make a difference. I'd rather lock the church doors and be like, okay, every Sunday we're all going to go volunteer somewhere new.
Yeah,
spread the word, spread the love. Don't freaking lock yourself in a building and all.
No,
because
when this COVID thing, whatever you want to call the crap, started and they were shutting churches down, I was not happy. I would have had a prison ministry because I wouldn't have shut the damn doors. No way. But it was just one of those things, It's like I was kind of glad in a way to see the doors of the church shut to get the people out of the building. But the problem was the building never got out of the people,
And that's
12 guys. Luke said in the book of Acts, 12 guys turned the world upside down, man, because of their faith and their commitment. And here we have, I don't know, tens of millions. Where the hell's the impact? I've done more ministry, effective ministry, since I've been on the road than I did in 20-some years in the church. I mean, before it was you're maintaining a group of people, but now... And when I turn down these offers, the first thing I ask everybody that's tried to get me to come back into a pulpit ministry is, what did your pastor preach 3 weeks ago? I ain't never had anybody be able to tell me. And I'm like, I have more impact sitting across the table having a drink with somebody than I ever did in the pulpit. I mean, this is great. I've seen thousands of lives change in the last 5 years, So I'm happy right where I am. Although it's pretty hot down here.
So, Bob, I agree with you 1,000,000%. Jessica Dugas does. I have a question I want to kind of throw out there. I threw this out to Gavin yesterday, and we both had a really fun conversation with this. But does it seem... would you relax? I'm petting you. He's fine.
Do not feed that dog.
Oh, no, not at all. He's sitting right next to me.
Feed that dog, Brandon.
Nope. You've already told me, and when people tell me not to feed the dog, I don't. But when people say I can feed the dog, he's begging, but he's not getting it.
I hear him.
And I look, it's gone. The only thing, see how he's sitting? Guys, I wish I was videoing this. The dog is literally just trying to get me to feed it. And do you guys hear this?
He never begs like this here.
Dude, I haven't given him shit. He just smells my donut. He smells my pink donut. He's jealous I have a pink donut and he doesn't.
I like donuts.
I hate to break it to everybody, but dogs see me and I must have that personality. I have a punchable face, according to Gavin, and I have this power with the dogs and
too,
cats
brother.
where they... Bro, Bob, you and I, you walk in and every dog will love you. Like
Oh,
the meanest dog in the world, but then they also look at you as the weakest link, and they're like, "He'll give you food," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna feed you, mother father. I'm not feeding you."
Yeah. I was in a bar back in Berthoud, Colorado a couple of weeks ago. And this guy came in with his, I don't know what kind of dog it was, a big guy. And he had him on a heavy chain, and it was probably 4 or 5 foot long. I looked at the dog, and the dog, I just said, "How you doing, buddy?" And a little tail and a big tail went to wagging, and the guy wasn't paying any attention. I just went over and started petting the dog, and the guy turned around and saw me with the dog. He said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, no, dogs just like me, man. I've met thousands of them in the last 6 years, and I ain't had an issue with any of them, man. They just love me. I don't know why, but they do. It's an animal personality, man.
I love it. All right, so back to what we were saying. Now, my question is, like you said, you're out there spreading the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, Gavin and I were talking. Apparently, I'm a lot of fun when I'm drunk, but
should have been with me last night, brother.
You should have been with me last night, brother. I was dancing, I was flirting, I was everywhere last night. At least I think I was
doing.
Spreading the word.
Yeah.
You were saying flirty, like kind of flirty things, but the charm wasn't the usual. Brendan charm was not there. It was more of like a drunken buffoon kind of charm, in which, I mean, you were just shouting things at people and then laughing.
And they laughed with me. That family loved me. Your family.
I'm sure some of them laughed with you. I'm sure some of them probably laughed at you.
Oh, I'm sure. I get laughed at a lot. Yeah. But I'm sitting across, and this family, God, what were they, like 12 people?
Something like that,
all are sitting there. Yeah, and the mom and dad are like leading the charge on the karaoke and singing songs and all that. And then they had like songs that were like rap. And I'm watching this like mom who's in her like late 50s, early 60s, and she's like rapping, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh," and like stuff like that, and I'm watching them just cracking up. And then the mom caught that I was watching them, and that's what made the family start talking to me, is I couldn't stop watching this family all interact and rap together. Like when I say white upon white, it'd be like all of us going out and watching Bob start rapping to Eminem out in public.
Trust
like
me, that ain't happening.
Right? Like you don't expect it. And I'm sitting there, I died. But we did have a conversation last night. This is where I was going with that, is Gavin and I distract each other. ADHD and a half. It's so easy to distract me. But Bob, have you noticed the energy's been off lately? Like, I know Jessica Dugas is going through some shit right now. Gavin and I were talking about it. Yesterday, I witnessed an assault while I was driving my car to go visit Gavin. Literally. Yeah. I watched this guy get out of his car and tackle a dude on a bike. Like he at a red light. And I'm like, what the F is going on? Like, I picked Gavin up. I had a Reiki yesterday, and I went to pick Gavin back up from the mall because he was getting some clothes for Vegas and stuff. And honestly, I sat there as I was pulling in. People were driving recklessly. People were going in and out of traffic without looking. And I'm talking long ways. And I'm like, what is everybody doing? Why are they so angry? And then as we're walking around, people are just like with their looks. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, have you guys noticed that? I'm asking this as a general question to everybody. When COVID started loosening, are you noticing people are agitated or whatever? Bob, how do you handle that? How do you do it without running them over with your motorcycle?
I try to avoid them because cages are a lot bigger than my scooter. But yeah, we saw some crazies. I mean, we rode down from Colorado. The first night was not bad at all. We only made it a couple 100 miles because Animal had to work until like 1:30. So we rode about 250 miles, got a room for the night. But the next day we got up, rode down through Oklahoma, the panhandle of Texas, and we got to Dallas. Oh my God, man. I'm telling you, people are nuts and rude and cutting you off. I had somebody literally just push me right off the coming out for the on-ramp, and just like I wasn't even there, didn't give a shit, and they just pushed me right over. I mean, if I hadn't been watching what I was doing, I'd probably been in a guardrail, man. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah, the whole atmosphere of the country is changed, man, and it's been a progress. I think I noticed coming for quite a long time. Actually, the first time I had this little thing in my head was back in 2014 when I had a brother come and speak at my church, and he said something that I totally disagreed with. So on the way home, I'm going, God, which one of us is right? We can't both be right on this. We're diametrically opposed. And in my spirit, I heard, you know what? Quit worrying about who's right and who's wrong. Just focus on what's truth. If you're focusing on the truth, you'll never have to worry about being right. And since that day, man, I have seen this thing progress. It's like today, it doesn't matter what the facts are, it doesn't matter what the truth is. There's a lust out there to be proven right, regardless of whatever. And it's got people on edge, man. And it's like the possibility that I could be wrong is a totally foreign concept in some people's minds today, man. It's like critical thinking died, It's like, gee,
walking around the mall yesterday, even like I know Brandon had I think it had to do with him also being drunk, that some of the waiting staff was kind of getting a little sick of him, in all honesty. But
no, the manager. No, it was the bartender who was angry at everybody.
She was angry. That one girl working at Hot Topic, she was extra angsty for someone working at Hot Topic.
I wasn't drunk then.
Well, I went to Cinnabon yesterday at the mall when Joe was getting a hoodie from some store. He bought a lot of stuff yesterday. Oh my God. He like anytime he saw a deal, he was all like, oh well, if I get this and I'm gonna save money. I'm like, no, you just spent another $100. What are you doing? Stop it.
At Express.
He gave me anxiety. Shopping with him gave me anxiety, in all honesty. I went to Cinnabon, and the people who served me didn't smile. They didn't show any emotion. So like, are you okay? Blink twice if you're being held hostage.
Are you in Cinnabon jail?
Yeah.
The waiters and stuff around here, most of them have been, I don't know, I don't know how to describe them. They aren't real friendly. Some of them, I mean, the ones at the bars have been just fabulous. The barmaids, the bartenders, whatever you want to call them, they've been great.
Yeah.
But the servers and stuff in the restaurants down here, man, it's like I don't know what's up with them. I always try to put myself in somebody else's shoe, try to figure out, why is that person, something must have happened today or whatever. Give them all the grace I can.
Yeah.
But some of these guys, oh my God, it's like they're just somewhere else, man, and it's crazy. But like I said, the bars were really good. I met a brother last night. It was cooler than hell. He was just sitting there, and I turned around and I saw him standing there, and it was just one of those things. I heard something in my head, so I walked over and I just started talking to the guy. Didn't know who the hell he was or nothing, and turns out he's I think, I don't know which country, he said, but he was a Latino, but he came to America legal, came through the right way, did the whole thing, went through the process, got his citizenship and stuff. We had an amazing conversation, man. And his name was Chris. And I'd had a couple I was trying to maintain. It was like 5 o'clock and the wedding thing was at like 8. So I thought I got a couple hours. So I did a shot of Crown and or Crown on the Rocks, and about a half an hour later or so I did another one, and then a little bit later I did another one, and then this brother Chris, he had to leave, and so I was over in the back trying to walk around and get my wits about me because I had this wedding thing to do. And the next thing I know, Chris walks up, puts his arm around me and says, "Hey brother, I wanted to give you this." And he gave me another one. So yeah, if you get a chance, go on my Facebook page. That was an interesting wedding ceremony. I had to drink a lot of water before I got there.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
It was good, though. I mean, we had a really great time.
Did you at least have food in your stomach?
I actually did when I got to the bar. When I got to the bar, I asked the barmaid for a glass of water because I knew what was going to happen. It always happens when you go to a bar with Animal. So
Yeah.
sure enough, he brought the drink there, but I told I need a menu, so I threw a burger down my neck real quick and a couple glasses of water, and then did 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 8 shots. I don't know, but it was a good night. We slowed down, did dinner. Actually, I didn't do dinner. I did 2 pieces of key lime pie and a couple glasses of water because I had to ride my scooter back. And I don't like to ride if I got buzzed, so I just slacked off for a while before I got on. But we're gonna, I think we're gonna party a little bit today, and then we gotta get on the road in the morning and see what happens, because I hear there's a nasty storm brewing in the Gulf, so could be an interesting ride tomorrow.
Yeah, we got some rain coming up here right now today, which I'm actually very excited about because I'm going to be landscaping today outside. So I got a disgusting amount of weeds that I need to get rid of at the fantasy, this building I've been working on for the past week. So I'm really excited because I love the rain. I love being in the rain, and it's also warm out. So not only do I get the pleasure of the rain, but I get to stay warm as well. So I'm gonna probably just throw on a like a wife beater or something like that and some jeans, have my hat on, go and just knock out these weeds. I'm looking forward to it. I love the rain, man.
We got pretty sunburned coming down through. I forgot. I didn't put any sunscreen on. Animal and Blondie did, but they still got sunburned. And when we got into Florida, like, we got sunburned pretty bad on Saturday, and then Monday, the last leg when we left New Orleans about 4:00 in the morning and rode all the way from New Orleans to Sarasota. It was about, I don't know, close to 700 miles, something like that. Yeah. But we got in on 75, man, and in Florida, man, these pop-up showers everywhere. Well, there were some little, fine raindrops. The big raindrops, they hurt a little bit. But boy, when them little raindrops hit you at 75 mile an hour on oh my God.
I remember pins and needles. For whatever reason, when I first got my Harley, I was riding around with a buddy of mine. He was kind of like showing me the ropes and stuff. And like, I had taken a class at Harley on how to ride, so I knew everything pretty well. But he was just like, he took me on the highway for the first time and took me like around Cleveland and showed me like fun places to ride around and stuff. And we'd always go on night rides because that's the only time that we both had off work. Yeah. And I can't tell you, probably 70% of the time, we'd ride out, it'd be a beautiful night, and then riding home, we just get hit with rain and hail. We got hit with hail one time. That sucked. Oh, my God, getting hit with a piece of hail at 65 miles an hour.
That
was terrible.
Yeah.
I went home covered in, like, I literally, even with my leather, any part of skin that I had showing, which wasn't much, it was like my neck, was just covered in these tiny little bruises all up and down. It looked like I got like hickeys from like the Gremlins or something like that, like the Smurfs. That's what it was.
Yeah, I've been caught in hail a bunch of times. I used to ride an old panhead, a hardtail thing with a jockey shift, no front brake, and foot clutch, all that stuff. And I was doing about 90 one day. Never saw it coming. Storm came from behind me, and the next thing I know, I heard bang, 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 and there's hail hitting my helmet. And the next thing I know, man, it's hitting me on the neck, my hands. That hurt like hell.
Yeah.
I got off and I just climbed under the bike got my face under the bike as far as I could. That stuff was coming down hard, and it hurt. Yeah.
Hail hurts when you're just standing there, let alone when you're speeding down a highway.
Yeah, no doubt.
Next week, Bob, you get to go see the Dukas family and be an honorary member of the D's.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to some of that cake I saw last week. I hope it's fresh. I don't want a piece of...
No, you get the stale one. You get the stale one, Bob. Don't be picky. No. You got to get there. Are you excited to actually go? They're really excited for you, Bob. Like, for real.
I am.
Like, the whole family.
I always look I get opportunities like this quite a lot. I get invitations to go meet new people all the time. I really look forward to it. I enjoy meeting. I just love people. I just do. And when I get the chance to meet somebody new, I jump on it because you never know who that person meets. Or like, I built this network across the country, man. I've done I've met people that are in strange places in the world of jobs and whatnot, and I've helped find lost kids because I've got connections with people that are with work for Homeland Security and that stuff on in the sex trade, and so
Oh my God.
I'm involved in a lot more. I mean, it looks like I'm having fun all the time, but trust me, there's an awful lot more going on in the background.
Do you have any stories from that you could share with us?
I don't know if I should or not.
Don't use names.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's been a few, man. I have a friend that daughter ran away, and I don't want to say where or anything, but she was not in a bad place. And I have a really good friend that an FBI guy, and he's got connections, and I've got. So anyway, I just started putting feelers out to these guys. I sent pictures to them, and they were able to get her on this list and whatnot. And they found her. Like, took 3 or 4 days for her to find her. I broke up a couple of chop deals. You know, some friends of mine, scooter was stolen. I'm talking to them on the phone. We're getting ready to go for a ride. They parked in their front yard the night before, and then they opened their door, and the chick goes, "Where's our bikes, man?" So I got on that quick, and I got some people, and they busted this whole ring. There was like 50, 60 guys in this chop shop, tearing things apart and selling them and whatnot. So, you know, there's a lot goes on in my world, man.
Yeah, apparently.
Bob, you are like a very you have a wealth of stories. That's all I can say. Like you've lived.
I really need a ghostwriter, brother. I've got a couple of books in my head, and I don't have the discipline to sit down and do it. I really need. I could sit down and tell somebody, "Oh my God!" The only thing I can do, because my body's so beat, I can ride a motorcycle and I can run my mouth, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's what you do then. You just you write a book, but you just go straight to audiobook. You don't have it ever written down.
No, well, when I first started this whole ride thing, it was like the guy that a good friend of mine that was helping me through the grief stuff. He was like, "Brother, you need to get this stuff out of your head." So I just started writing everything, every thought, emotion, everything, and I documented it. I wanted it to be like a diary, so that, you know, I had some little grandkids, and I thought, you know, if something happens to me, I end up under a bus or something, I want my grandkids to be able to know who I am from my own words. So I started writing and doing videos and putting it all on Facebook, and then people started sharing it all over the world. And I think there's like 50 countries or 60 now, people follow me. And a lot of my Christian friends were like giving me hell, "Man, you got to stop writing such dark stuff, you know, and I'm like, look, this is what's in here. I got to get it out, man." And I started getting messages from people all over the world thanking me for being so damn transparent about my feelings and how I was dealing with them. They thought there was something weird wrong with them, that they were the only ones that dealt with this stuff, you know, because as Christians, we're not supposed to have fears and anxieties and stuff. But I'm sorry, I'm human, man. We got to deal with these things. So I just kept doing what I still do today. You know, it's transitioned some. It's not so much a diary now. I mean, I still do that type of stuff, but I try to help people get through stuff. My desire is that the transparency that I do and how I deal with the things, I really hope that it helps somebody else get through the stuff. And I, you know, I got to laugh at myself once in a while. Like, I did the most amateurish, stupid, ridiculous thing yesterday. We were out riding the other day, and we pulled up to a red light, and Bullwinkle stalled. And I went, "What?" He fired right back up, rode next stop sign. As soon as I backed off on the throttle, he stalled. And I went, "Oh God, what's going on?" And immediately when I said, "Oh God, what's going on?" I saw a spark plug in my head, and I went, "Oh, all right, I need plugs, man." So we stopped, and sure enough, the animal had his ratchet with him. I pulled the plugs, and my plugs needed change, and they weren't fouled out, but they were really, they had a lot of miles on them. So we took a knife and scraped them up, and he ran good. So yesterday I went into town and I bought a couple of new spark plugs, and I bought crap. I mean, it cost me $21 for 2 spark plugs. I'm like, what? So anyway, I pulled the back plug out, changed it, put the old one back in a little box, pulled the front plug out, changed it, put the old one back in the box, put them away in the bag, threw my leg over the saddle, hit the switch, and hit the starter. And he turned over about a half a dozen times before he started. And then when he started, he was like running rough. I thought, what the hell? So I'm running on 1 cylinder. So I shut it off real quick, and I got a million worst case scenarios going on in my mind. I get off the bike, get down on my knee, look, and I'm like, "Oh, you idiot! You never put the plug wire back on the front cylinder."
You know what?
Amateur. Yeah.
Amateur. See, that would be something I would do. Like amateur hour right here. Bob does it. It's like, oh man, just a brain slip. Bob's like, look, I have too many other things on my
Biden moment, man.
I mean, you're lucky though that nothing crazy happens. I know, like bikes are kind of sensitive, man. You know, you ride and you got everything exposed. If you have one thing that's messed up, it's not like a car where you're gonna stop or not go. Like you could get, you know, down the street and then all of a sudden everything just kicks out from under you.
I really don't worry that much about that. My scooter is not mine. I mean, that's God's thing, and He takes care of it and takes care of me. But I'm a chaplain for a group called North America Biker Rescue, and this is an amazing group of people, man. It's just bikers, not all bikers. 99.9% are bikers, but it's just people. I think there's 45,000 members, and they're out there. If you break down somewhere, all you got to do is go on this North America Biker Rescue page, say, hey, I got a flat tire, or I don't know what's wrong, I'm at mile marker, whatever. And the admins will start looking. They'll find where you are on the map, and then they'll hit all of the people that are closest to you, and somebody will get there and get you out. In fact, no, I thought it was Brian. It wasn't Brian, but I've been helped out several times. They don't charge you nothing. It's just brothers helping brothers. Do whatever we can do to stay on the road, man. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So I don't worry. I don't worry about that kind of stuff, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. Now there was something because with my stepdad, like he'd always have me in the garage and work with him on cars and things like that. I never had much interest in it, but when I had my motorcycle, there was just something about it where it was like, oh, I can't wait till I have to change the oil. I can't wait for something to break or like to get a new piece in so I can fix it or change it out myself. But I'll tell you what, the first time that I tried to change the oil on that, the way that it was set up, I couldn't get anything around the oil filter. So I drained the oil out. I beat the hell out of this oil filter. It got to the point because I couldn't wrap anything around it. It was just it's covered by the engine and everything else around in that chassis. I ended up taking a screwdriver and hammering it through the damn oil filter and then prying it off. And just that's how I got it.
I had that problem too. I bought one. It's a Harley Davidson oil filter wrench that fits over the end of the damn filter, but it slipped too. It was a pain in the ass. So I took my drill and I drilled a hole on each side of that filter wrench, and I put a self-tapping screw in there, and then put that on there, and I screwed the damn wrench right to the filter, and then took it off. But I just remedied all of that. I paid $175 for an oil filter. It's reusable. It's a stainless steel microfiber mesh filter. It's the stuff they use in satellites and nuclear plants and all this stuff. Because an oil filter is like between $12 and $18 a piece, and then 145,000 miles. I've probably done 50 or I don't know how many, a lot. So I've spent several $100s already on just filters. So I thought. So
do you have to clean it out then, or how is it reusable? Does it clean itself? Or like, how does that work?
It's a 2-piece deal. It's all metal. You just unscrew the thing. Just take it. It's got a socket end on it, so you just put a socket on it, spin it off, and you just push down. It's got an insert. You just push down, twist it, pull it out, and wash it with gas, carpet cleaner, or whatever. Put it back together and use it again. It's better than like paper filters because paper filters, when they get wet with oil, they swell and it reduces the flow of the fluids through it. But this stainless steel mesh stuff, it can't clog. It's got a little magnet in there if there's chunks of metal or something. So it's really, really worth the $175.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. When I get another bike, which I will one day when I have the money and everything, I would definitely be looking into that.
Oh yeah, it's worth it, man. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
Those things ain't cheap, and they ain't getting any cheaper, man. I got gas, isn't it? I think we were paying close to $4 a gallon in places coming across. It was nuts, man. And oil, $15 a quart, $16.
I was driving Brandon home last night from the bar, and he looks at one of the gas stations. He goes, $3? Fuck that gas.
I don't need no stinking gas, man.
But he was in the middle of a conversation with me. He was like halfway through one thought of a sentence, and then just said that out of nowhere, and then went right back to whatever he was talking about. I was like, Jesus Christ. You need food.
Yeah, it was.
I needed food back
too, Brandon.
Bob,
So Bob, what do you got planned next for this weekend?
Tomorrow, jumping on the scooter and riding up to Atlanta, and I'm gonna hang out with my girlfriends at my son's place for a couple of days, or how, I don't know, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get there. Hang out with them, and then leave from there. Go over to Jessica's place next Friday. I talked to her a little bit. I planned on doing this show live from her place next Friday. So
awesome.
We'll see how that goes. If it ain't all flooded out, I'll be there.
Get a crossover episode. I love it.
It'll be good, man.
But what am I hearing?
I don't know.
Oh, you're hearing these people across the street. They are chopping down a tree right now.
It's just like it's the clouds are so dark, Bob. I swear to God, I thought that like all of a sudden that was like the longest thunder I've ever heard. I was like, what is
There was
that?
one time, okay, I was like 3 years ago, across the street. No, that's a story for another podcast. Across the street, there was lightning going for a solid 15 minutes straight. It was just, it was this huge cloud, but the lightning wasn't coming down. It was going from one cloud to another, back and forth. Think of like how in like Spider-Man movies when he shoots his web and it goes in slow motion. That's what it was like. It was just these webs of lightning just dancing through the clouds for like 15 straight minutes. It was amazing.
There was, I think it was about 20 years ago in Mobile, Alabama, there was 777 lightning strikes in 77 minutes down there, man. It was just crazy.
Oh, I bet spiritual people were losing their minds.
Oh, buddy, you ain't lying, man. It was, there was.
How do you count that? How do you count 777 lightning strikes?
I think they got it from NOAA. I think that's where they got it from the National Weather Service or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally didn't go with that. You said Noah, and I'm like, on his boat.
I saw that look on your face.
You saw my face. I'm like,
he didn't just go there, did he? Oh god.
Oh, like this is gonna be good, Bob. Tell me how.
He's got a piece of parchment and some coal, and he's just chalking it down with tallies. Roman numerals.
Yeah, I'd rather have Moses going, get out of the way, get out of the way.
Right.
Part that water. I need to get through here.
The storm is making a beeline for Atlanta, my friend. We bought a house that was not in a flood zone, according to Jessica Dugas, so you don't have to worry about being flooded. And stay away from the highways. You'll be good. They'll likely be flooding in Tennessee by the Tennessee River. And Brian Tracy says squirrel. Now, why are you trying to distract me with that? Yep, see, Gavin looked away this time. Right when I said squirrel.
No, the dog is scratching the door.
It's because he wants to hang out with me, but I have the cat now.
It's because he wants food.
I didn't feed him. I have my food.
Did you eat all the food?
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay, I'm gonna let him out now.
I ate my pink donut. I go through Dunkin' Donuts when I do. Hi, buddy. I go through Dunkin' Donuts, and I think that the Dunkin' Donuts by Gavin now knows me because they're like, I order my food, and they're like, is there anything else? And I'm like, one pink donut. I don't care if it's sprinkles. I don't care if it's the frosting. It just has to have pink. And I know you. You just want love. And I'm like sitting there. All right, I'm like waiting. Gavin comes back and he's like, so one pink donut and a sandwich and an iced coffee. I'm like, yep. And he's like, why pink? And I'm like, yeah, always pink donuts because pink donuts are, it's the most, honestly, you go through, you don't have to worry about it being sold out because usually they're trying to keep it going. The pink is something that throws them off when it's a guy driving up getting one. And I just like donuts. The pink makes it easier.
Donuts. Eclipse.
I know. I think I was a cop in another life because I like donuts.
I figured after your LA trip, you'd be done with donuts for a while.
No.
Now, what you need to try is a piece of French silk pie from Perkins or the Village Inn, man. Oh, my God.
I remember you telling us about that.
That stuff is, oh, my God, so good. If you haven't had it, you got to do it.
Oh, that's I look for Jake. Jake gets what I'm saying. Jake and I are on the same page. That's why we're best friends today. So it's 8 a.m. I don't get what you're asking me, Brett, but thank you. But Bob, we are going to be having our guest come on in a second. I hope you're excited to hear about our guest. His name is Todd Newton.
I read his bio.
You did. So you know he's a television personality. He's been on ETV or entertainment television and countless game shows such as Whammy, Family Game. I feel like I had to say it like that. Whammy, Family Game Night, and the touring production of The Price is Right. Oh my God, I want to spin the wheel so bad. The man known as the host with the most has awarded contestants with more than $50 million in cash prizes. Mr. Newton is also the author of several books, including The Host with the Most, Tales of a Tattooed Television Personality, and The Life in the Bonus Round, which was named Best Autobiography at the prestigious Beverly Hills Books Award. So, Bob, stick around in the background, buddy, so we can get you in talking at the end.
I'm actually gonna go out back by the river type thing out here. I'll have this on, and I'm gonna be fishing while you guys are doing this. If you need my attention, just say, "Hey, Bob, get your ass out here."
Sounds good.
Absolutely, buddy. And Jessica wants to know. Last question for Bob: donuts or biscuits next Friday for the breakfast show?
Oh hell, I'd say. Right, if the biscuits come with the sausage gravy, we'll go with the biscuits. But I don't do vegan sausage, so I guess a donut will have to do.
Jessica, wow him. I know you can. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. It is time for us to get our guest in here. Bob, thank you for being incredible. Thank you for being you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Love you, buddy. It is time for Todd Newton. Say hello, everybody.
How you doing, Todd?
Pretty fancy. I don't know how I follow Bob there, but it's good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you as well. I like your background. Where are you right now?
I am, we call these, there's a little light action. We call these the Razzle Dazzle Studios. This is where we do my podcast and where I get to speak with fine hosts such as yourselves a few days a week. So
I feel like you're getting ready to judge me for like my cooking or something like that right now with this background. It gives off that the like master chef kind of vibe.
That's it's a lovely lilac color you have behind you there. It's very soothing. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's easing the tension right now for me. So,
hey, man,
this used to be my mother's room.
We could all use a little bit of that, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Now, Todd, you have had, all right, traveling Price is Right, Whammy. like you've done a lot of freaking cool game shows. Which one was your favorite? First one off the bat. Which one did you
let me adjust my backdrop here. You're right, man. It's a heck of a ride that I'm on, and we're still going strong. The Price is Right stage show actually kicks off our fall tour here coming up September 1st. And man, this is our 19th year. And that would be of all the cool TV gigs I've had, the touring version of The Price is Right is my favorite, hands down. People, I make no secret about that. I mean, when you can kind of travel, the country and award cash and prizes to complete strangers, soon to become very good friends. It's like being Santa Claus 365 days a year. And it's just been, doing game shows on TV is great, but doing it live with that immediate feedback and seeing the people and sharing the moment, that by far has been the highlight.
I got to know then, what are some of the most emotional interactions that you've had with people where like they won and it was like a life-changing thing to them?
Well, the great thing about game shows is they mean something different to everyone. To some people, a trip to Las Vegas is not a highlight because they've been to Vegas 25 times. But to someone else who hasn't been able to take a vacation for many, many years, or someone like Gavin who's yet to dip his perfectly pedicured toes into that pool of sin and debauchery, it could be a life-changing experience. Oh God, it could be a life-changing experience. But to answer your question, and it's a really good question. I think one of the most meaningful wins for me happened a few years ago. We were somewhere down south. I want to say Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, somewhere around there. And a woman named Helen got up on the stage and she was playing a game called Any Number for a trip to Las Vegas. And one of the things that Bob Barker always taught me was everyone has a backstory. Take the time to really ask questions and dig and find out what that story is. And if you don't strike gold, you can always say, all right, well, let's get to the game. Or you can really hit something magical and the entire audience becomes invested in this person. And that's what happened with this wonderful woman. It turned out that she had just retired from the post office. She'd worked every day for 40 years, never even been on an airplane. And once we found that out, everything she had done had been for her children and her grandchildren. Yeah. She had never done anything for herself. And so once the audience discovered that and heard that, they were behind her 100%. And when she won that game, she did win. And she was going to get on that airplane for the first time and go to Las Vegas. She told us she had always played online poker on her iPad, but she had never played in person. The crowd just went crazy. And to me, that's what game shows are all about. Game shows are the only real form of reality television for the most part, most game shows. So when you get a moment like that, it's really special.
Now, did you grow up like watching The Price is Right and being into that, or did you have other game shows you were into growing up?
Well, I had a few favorites. I'm not one of these guys that grew up a diehard game show fan. I watched Price is Right with my grandmother, but I was really more intrigued by Bob Barker and the way that he was entertaining millions of people just by being himself, or a slightly exaggerated version of himself. I didn't know what the term host was when I was 12 or 13 years old. I had no concept of it. Same thing for Johnny Carson at night. I knew that Johnny made my dad laugh in a way that nobody else could, and I thought that was really cool. And Johnny had a way of making everyone this giant star, whether it was Frank Sinatra or some 12-year-old girl who could play the violin with her feet. Everybody was a star when they were being interviewed by Johnny. And I really liked that. But as far as game shows, Price was always my favorite. Still is, because it's so many different games in one. It's not like a straight question and answer game or something. It's Plinko and any number and cliffhangers and the big wheel and all these different things. I also enjoyed Family Feud, the Richard Dawson version, and I enjoyed Match Game with Gene Rayburn. I thought that was fun. The panel, you could tell they were having cocktails backstage. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
The original Hollywood Squares, I thought that was cool.
So doing game shows, and especially The Price is Right, Bob Barker, and everything, there's some big shoes to fill. How did you get into it? And then on top of that, how did you prepare to take on that responsibility?
Well, those are loafers that you can never fill. You hope you do it justice. And I'm just so proud to be a part of that iconic franchise, really. But my first game show was in 1999. It was a show called Hollywood Showdown on Game Show Network. And it was produced by a gentleman by the name of Sandy Stewart. And he and his father created so many wonderful game shows, $25,000 Pyramid, $64,000 Pyramid, Password, To Tell the Truth. Sandy's father created the original version of The Price is Right. So they were game show royalty, and it's impossible not to absorb that passion and appreciation for the genre, especially when you realize that it incorporates everything that I love about other facets of television, whether it's the live audience, or the fact that you are awarding prizes, or the fact that it's all done in one take, for the most part. And I like that. I think if you're passionate about something, you should want to do it in one take. You shouldn't rely on the safety net of going back and doing it again. You should give it all you got to make it special. So when I was hosting the show Whammy, which I heard you guys mention, that was produced by the same people that produce The Price is Right. So I would ask if I could get tickets to Price. And eventually, I started going to tapings 3 or 4 days a week. That was going to college for me. And I would stay after, and Bob would take time and walk me through some blocking and talk to me about some of the contestants and what would I have done, how would I have handled this, teaching me, not he wasn't learning from me, I was learning from him. But all of that was invaluable. I'm a big believer in if you really want to do something great, find someone who's doing it really well, and model after them and work with them if you can. So I owe a lot to Mr. Barker and to Sandy Stewart, people that coached me and polished me along the way.
Most definitely, absolutely.
Do you have a game on The Price is Right that you just like more than others? Because I would love if I got to go on and got to pick my game. I kind of would want to do the shopping game where you get the prices, or Plinko. Do you have a game that you prefer?
Well, It's in the Bag is the one you're talking about, the grocery game. That's a fun game to host because there are a lot of steps along the way where you can build drama and tension, and that is exciting. But I think my favorite one during the show, and with the Price is Right stage show, the games rotate every night, because what you may see in Denver, one night, the next night in Pueblo, Colorado will be a completely different game. And then in Salt Lake City, a completely different show, just to keep things fresh for the people to come see us. But I tell people it's a lot like going to see your favorite band in concert and knowing that they're only going to play the greatest hits. You're going to see all the games that you really love. And so Plinko is there most of the time, if not all the time, because I think it's like going to see Skinner and them not singing Freebird. I think more people would walk away disappointed. So I think that's my favorite one to play, because when the curtain opens and they see the Plinko board, they lose it. And there's nothing like being on a stage in front of 3,000 people when they're just up on their feet yelling and screaming. I mean, that's a rush that's indescribable. So I guess my answer would be Plinko. That's probably that's quite a thrill.
So, all right, let's say that the network comes to you and they say, I love that. Say the network comes to you and they say, all right, you can do whatever show you want. We've decided that you were just such an amazing host. You're allowed to do any show that you want. It could be something that was canceled beforehand. You can bring it back as a reboot or something that's already going over now, and you can take it over. What show are you doing?
It doesn't have to be a game show. It could be any show.
Yeah, you're hosting a show. Yep.
Yeah. I would want to do the Tonight Show. That interviewing is my forte, and I would want to do it in the style of Johnny. I think today, and obviously viewership has changed. Everything has changed since those days. But if I've got carte blanche here to do it however I'd like, I would go back and do it the way Johnny did, where it was, less about the bits and the YouTube clips and more about the interview, bringing the home audience. I've got some years on you guys here, but when Johnny Carson would sit down with Dean Martin or Don Rickles or Burt Reynolds or Lonnie Anderson, or it was just different. It was cool. You felt like you were part of that crowd of that era. So, and the classic Vegas is kind of my favorite era. So I always mention guys like Martin and Sinatra, and I live on that. We did The Price is Right in Vegas for many years, so it's kind of in my blood. But I would just love to have the desk, kind of like the Larry Sanders Show, with Gary Shanley. I see myself, if I could pick it, but man, I'm loving right where I'm at right now. I get to tour the country. We've got 50 shows this year, starting in the fall, which is going to be awesome. I get a lot of time at home with my family, my dogs, and hanging on the beach. And the podcast is something that I really love, which is an interview show. So, and that to me is the future. What you guys are doing here is the future. YouTube is the future. Everything on demand and a la carte, man. That's the way we want it. And for guys like us who enjoy doing it, and I think can do it well, it's we're right there with the trends.
Absolutely. How have you been adapting to the new life and the new entertainment business that's been coming about? How you said, a little bit of everything all the time basically is what it's become. How have you adapted? Are you doing a lot more YouTube things or a lot more stuff for clips, or are you still comfortable in the more televised old school kind of way?
Yeah, well, for the right before the pandemic hit, I had spent a few years in the home shopping arena, which I kind of enjoyed. I got to be pretty selective about the items that I presented, and that was a nice experience. It's live television. I love live television, so that was nice. But when the pandemic hit, it allowed me to put my focus on this podcast that I've been building since 2012. And kind of shift the format a little bit and make it exclusively interview based. We had last week, I had a guy on who explained just what the hell Bitcoin is all about. I'd heard of Bitcoin, but I'm like, how do I get it? Is it worth getting? Is it something I need? Is this what everybody's going to be using in 5 years? And that was an extremely informative show. And it did really well for us. And this week I've got Courtney Six on, who is a DIY influencer, Nikki Sixx's wife from Motley Crue. She's all over social media. She was awesome. So, these are, I contact my friends, or I research subjects that I think my subscribers would enjoy. And I love it. And when you see a response to something, when you see growth, it only fuels you to want to put more into it. So I can see myself, I come from a radio background anyway. I grew up in St. Louis, which is this incredible radio town. So my career stems from radio. So, to morph into this podcasting world is perfectly natural for me. And, that's the kind of thing that I could do forever. And I don't have to travel to LA to do it. I don't have to go to New York to do it. As long as I have, decent facilities, I can do it from wherever I am. Yeah. So I'm adjusting really well, man. I listen, the pandemic, I I saw kind of where it was going right away, or at least where I thought it was going. So I made adjustments, and my family and I got through it with our health, thankfully. But I mean, as far as building that side of the host with the most brand, it was some valuable time, some much needed time to be able to do that.
Nice.
So
are you guys broadcasting from a runway out there? What is that noise that I keep?
Yeah, we have a storm going on, and then we have people cutting trees around us in the neighborhood, which seems like a terrible thing to do while a storm is going on.
Where are you guys? Where are you guys based?
Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cleveland,
Now you're in Vegas?
No, I'm in Key West, Florida at the moment. But we'll be actually, the Price is Right's doing an Ohio run. I think we've got Cincinnati and Columbus. We play that beautiful Palace Theater in Columbus, Ohio every year, which is nice. And I'm looking forward to that. But
when's that going to be?
Oh, man, you beat me to it. Gavin, I was so close to pulling it up and acting like I had it right at the top of my head. Let's see. We'll be in Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio on September 22nd. Nashville, Indiana, the 23rd, Elkhart, Indiana, the 24th, Cincinnati, the 25th, and then Muncie, Indiana on the 26th. So we'll be right in your neck of the woods there.
Yeah. So do we get tickets online for this, or how would we be able to attend?
Yeah. Well, what's great about the Price is Right live show, and the website is priceisrightlive.com, priceisrightlive.com, and you can see the full schedule. We're all over the country, literally coast to coast, and you can get your tickets there too. But what's great about this show is everyone who buys a ticket who's 18 and over has an equal shot to get up on stage and play, because all contestants are chosen completely at random. Literally. I mean, it's a software program that minutes before the show starts, it spits out the names of audience members who have registered. Some people just want to come watch. So if you just want to buy a ticket and come watch, that's great. But you register at the show, takes a minute, and then, after each game, more people are called down, and we're able to call more people down to Contestants Row than they are on television, because we're not limited to 60 minutes. There are no commercial breaks. We get to play more games. So it's pretty cool. And, this is one of those show business anomalies that's been successful for 19 years. And obviously it's because of the success of the TV show, but I think we put on a good show, and it's all the same games, all the same set pieces, all the same lights and music. We're produced by the same people that do the TV show. So it's authentic. It's not a high school musical. It's not a
knockoff.
It's not a local theater production. Yeah, it's the real deal.
Well, I'm stoked. I'm definitely gonna be looking into getting tickets, and I'm hoping to get on stage. I'm gonna register, see if I can win some of these games, get some prizes going.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I mean, you'll really enjoy, there's the big wheel, and here's our schedule. And it's just, it's so much fun. And it's great because no two shows are ever the same, because no two audiences are ever the same. It's impossible. Look, I don't know what it's like to be in a band or to be a singer and to go on stage and do a concert for screaming fans. I don't know. I can't sing a lick or play a note, but I would imagine there are probably times when you do slip into kind of autopilot, and but with our show, it's impossible to do that. And look, I'm just grateful. I've always believed no matter what I'm doing, the audience is the boss, the viewer is the boss, the subscriber is the boss. They're the ones that keep the lights on. It doesn't matter how big of a show you're doing or how small, or if you've been around forever, if you're just starting out. If you're not connecting and you're not entertaining or informing or inspiring, or hell, on a good day doing all three, then you're missing the mark. And that's I think one of the things I hear about this streaming business is people say, oh, well, there are so many people doing it. And I'm like, well, look, you're talking to a guy that moved to Los Angeles from the Midwest. You don't think there were a lot of people trying to do what I was trying to do? I think that if you put your heart into it, the cream's always going to rise to the top. You're always going to establish not a following, but a community. That's the word we all use in this streaming world. We try to build our community and provide, and it's a great place for viewers to be too, because there are a million choices, and we just hope they stick with us.
Yeah. I'll be
What
back
has
in
been
one
some of the-
moment.
What has been some of your biggest challenges being on the road, being someone that has, you're on the road how many days a year? Like I with it coming up, I'm sure a lot, but like every day you just named like 10 cities in like a week. It's like, that has to be exhausting.
Yeah, well, no, I'm at a point in my life now where it's awesome. The challenge, the biggest challenge, I guess, was 10 or 15 years ago when my kids were younger. Having to leave your kids is really hard, especially when you have the relationship with your kids that I have with mine, and hopefully everyone has with their children. It was difficult. The upside was it was all my kids ever knew. So, I was always in contact from the road, and I was always, able to come back. We only tour in the spring and the fall. So, it's not like year round. But even being away for a week and a half was difficult. Now I can go away for long stretches. My kids are, they got their own things. They got boyfriends, girlfriends, jobs. They're off doing their own thing. So, and now we've got FaceTime. So it's I'm never far. But leaving them when they were young. But Price is Right was always great to me. I never had to miss a birthday or a dance recital or a karate tournament or anything, but just not being able to tuck them in for a few nights at a time was kind of rough. But it was the dream gig, and it still is, and everything comes with a price.
Do you see them going their own way, or do they also have any interest in the entertainment business like their dad?
One of my kids definitely has the personality for it. The other one is much more in the world of finance and quite successful in that arena. So I would never, but I've never ever pushed them to do anything they didn't want to do. And I've even told them that goes for your personal life as well. If you're ever in a relationship with someone who doesn't light you up, get out of it. Same with the job. The days of sucking it up or sticking with it or seeing how it plays out, those days are over, man. Over. And life goes by too damn quick to be with someone that doesn't make you happy, or to do something that doesn't make you happy. I've been really lucky. I mean, I come from a show business family. My grandmother on one side, my grandfather on the other side, so this was always, when I decided I wanted to pursue it, no one ever looked at me like I was nuts. And that was quite valuable. But with my kids, and there have been times when they've had jobs, especially when they were just starting in the workforce, where if I saw them dreading it, going to work, we would, next time we were sitting down to eat, I'd bring the subject up and I would tell them, I said, listen, there is always something else and always something better. If you're aggressive, you can't be passive. You have to be aggressive. But if you are aggressive, and if you are kind to people and easy to work with, and if you always give more than what they're paying for, you'll never be unemployed. That's the ticket. You give, if somebody's paying you $15 an hour, give them $20 worth, and see who gets canned whenever they have to, trim it a little bit. But yeah, it's, they're great kids, man. And, they're go-getters and movers and shakers. And so I'm real thrilled with the path both of them are on.
I love that. No, I know I'm muted because of the thing, and then I try talking and forgetting I'm muted. I'm listening and not noticing I'm muted because I'm not used to muting that much. Your book, Tales of the Tattooed Television Personality. That was when I went like this, I was trying to catch what both hands said, and I have multiple questions. Like, I'm tattooed. I have a lot of tattoos all over. Gavin's tattooed. Like, for me, tattoo is a therapy. Now you're on television, and I know a lot of people who are actors and stuff, and they're like, no, you're not supposed to get tattoos because you know all the rules behind that. Being someone who is tattooed, how has that, like, do you use it as a therapy? And then in television, are you able to, does it affect you getting gigs or anything like that?
Well, first of all, if it has ever held me back from getting a gig, I would never know it. No one would ever tell me. But I can tell you that I got my first tattoo 25 years ago, and I get them on the road. Very few of them have been done in my hometown. I've been tattooed all over the world. I don't know if it's therapy. I do enjoy the art form. I enjoy the different techniques. I've been tattooed with taburi style in Japan and France and all over South America. I enjoy seeing how it is done in different cultures. Professionally, I can tell you that I've never ever had someone ask me to cover the tattoos, but I've had many people ask me to wear something that reveals the tattoos, So I think, and especially when you're my age and you've got the gray hair, I think it looks really cool with a suit. I think, and the technology of tattooing has changed so much. The equipment, the inks are richer and fuller and more vibrant. So, maybe 30 or 40 years ago, it used to be, you had to be in a band, or you had to be a tattoo artist or an ex-con to have a whole bunch of tattoos. But that's over, and quite frankly, I'm at the point in my career where if I'm not right for your project, I'm totally fine with you finding somebody else. I enjoy working, and I certainly enjoy making money, but I'm not one of those guys who feels like I have anything to prove to anyone anymore. When I was 30 years old, I felt differently. There were a lot of mountains that I wanted to climb, but now I get a lot of joy from kind of turning around and looking at the things I've done and looking ahead of me and seeing what I've got coming up on the horizon. That, if a little side road comes up here that's too windy or too bumpy, I don't need to go down that road. It's fine. Let somebody else deal with that. But there are a lot of projects where people want a little, and look who's on TV these days. Look at all the cooking shows that you mentioned, Guy Fieri, all the chefs, everybody's covered, man. I think it looks cool. And we got to remember, every generation that comes along is more and more accepting of the things that previous generations were not, so it's, and I ran into that a lot in that home shopping space. There weren't a lot of hosts on the shopping channels that were covered in tattoos, but a lot of the callers that called in, I was presenting men's watches and electronics. Well, who's buying that stuff? It's not someone in their late 70s that's sitting at home with an Afghan over their legs and 3 cats crawling on them. It's somebody who's out there hustling, grinding, shaking and baking, moving and grooving, and those people probably have a tattoo or two, so it's just starting to become more and more the mainstream. One of the questions I get that always makes me laugh, it's so cliche and it's such low-hanging fruit, but people say, well, what are you going to look like when you're naked, when you're 80? And I'm like, what are you going to look like when you're 80? And you know what I mean? First of all, nobody's going to want to see either one of us, but I guarantee I'm going to be a lot cooler looking than you are.
So have you ever seen somebody who's like in their 70s or 80s who's taken care of their body over the years and they're still in like a somewhat decent shape and they have tattoos? Oh, they look so badass.
Well, there's some pretty cool websites. I don't know them offhand, but where photographers have done full illustrations and full displays. They've taken really cool, artsy black and white photos of elderly people with tattoos, and it's badass. Quite frankly,
Yeah.
I love it. I think if you've got something to say, look, in all of my touring and all of my traveling, I could have drank the money that I spent on tattoos. I could have bought stupid T-shirts or trinkets that end up in the trash, or I could have bought a piece of art that I hang on my wall that a handful of people will ever see. I just like taking it with me. I like it's, and you guys know how it is. It's a really cool feeling when you walk out with a new tattoo, especially when it's that black ink. There's nothing more beautiful than brand new black ink, man. It just
it feels great. It really does.
It really does. So I have Gavin, I'm jumping in for my second part of my question.
Yeah.
You said you have tattoos from all over the world. Can you explain the differences? Because I want to get one in Tibet. They do this tapping one.
Yeah.
And
the stick and poke.
Yes, I look forward to doing that one day. See, look how handsome you are. We have all these different ways of doing it. What was the one that maybe you would love to have everybody you got to go try this sometime? A tattoo that was just different for you that when you were getting it, I've never seen that.
Well, I guess the Taburi style in Japan was probably the most interesting because that's the bamboo that's actually that's not the tap that you're talking necessarily, but it's more it feels more invasive, but it's much less painful than the standard American tattoo. The recovery is a little longer because they go so much deeper, so there's more of an ache there for a week or so. But in Japan, especially, at least where I went, they and if you research an artist, you can really get somebody that makes it an experience for you. But they, in Japan especially, it's very honorable to allow someone to put art on your body. They take it very, very seriously, and there's quite an allegiance to tattoo artists over there. Whereas here, you really got to be careful where you go. You can really end up with some shysters. But I think I enjoyed that experience the most. It was holy almost, when it was like walking into a dojo. It was just there was a lot of respect, and that's what I love about traveling the world. I just like experiencing these new cultures. We get so wrapped up in our own thing that it's kind of cool to see that the world spins because of what everybody's throwing into it, not just us. We're not the center of this universe, and it's nice to be reminded of that by experiencing other foods and people and living conditions and currencies, all of these things.
So you say that it's more invasive. Could you walk me through a little bit of what actually they are doing? Because you also that's the thing. You said it's more invasive, but then you say it's not as painful either. So I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, it's weird. It's it's a piece of bamboo. It looks like a drumstick, and the artist sits in kind of a almost a lotus position, like a yoga position. A meditative position. There's very little talking. There's no back and forth. But what he's doing, and I'm assuming they probably have female artists as well. Mine in particular was a male. But what he's doing is he's jabbing that piece of bamboo. That's it. Into your skin, and there's nothing electric about it. And it's a very physical for the artist. I mean, when we were finished, he was dripping sweat, but he has to sit like that because he's got his, he's developed a stance. This is how he apprenticed, and he knows what's comfortable, and so it's it was just really really interesting.
How long did that take to get your piece done like that?
Well, I didn't. I got a little lotus flower. Well, not little, about the size of a baseball, and that was like 2.5 hours. They the guy that I had was really. But they do these full back pieces, man. I mean, look how beautiful that is, and
yeah,
I mean, that's just that's weeks and weeks worth of work, and God,
and they're just stabbing you with a stick of bamboo over and over again.
Yeah, it's difficult to describe because it is a stabbing, but it doesn't feel like it. It's strange. Like I've got tattoos on my ribs, and that was very painful with the machines. But but this and you slip into kind of a trance. Anybody that's gotten a significant piece will tell you. So there was certainly some of that. But I was just so I was so happy to be there, and just so. Thrilled that I was able to, because if you want it done right, if you're traveling abroad, it's the kind of thing where you kind of got to schedule it in advance, and and so you're crossing off days on the calendar until it gets there. So when you're actually in the place, you're like, oh wow, it's like anything else. There's a part of your brain that's afraid that something's going to fall through. You know what I mean? And it's not going to happen. But I was supposed to get tattooed by a monk in a temple in Thailand August of last year, and obviously that got poo-pooed, because of the pandemic. And now I don't know if I can't sit as long as I used to anymore. I'm not as patient, and I don't have as much room as I used to either. So that's something else.
You're running out of canvas.
Yeah. I got a little bit of space on my back for when I do get to Thailand, hopefully next year. So I'll save that space, and then that'll probably be it.
Do you know what you want when you go there, or do you kind of just let the artist decide for you?
Well, with the monks, you sit with them, and they kind of create something, and you kind of give them carte blanche, which is interesting. And it's funny, I've had a lot of friends that have been tattooed in that manner, and they say that it's said, they tell you that they like for you to bring them an offering on top of what it costs. I mean, these monks, they live in poverty, and so I was doing the research, and the offerings that they like are cigarettes. They want smokes. So I'll just load up on Thai cigarettes and make that monk's day.
Nice.
I did not know that was what they wanted. I would have thought money. That's hilarious. I've had a couple friends go out to do that, and they explain the same way you did. Like, they talk to you, they ask you questions, and then they give you the tattoo that they feel you're supposed to get.
Yeah, and let's be honest, they all probably have 10 or 12 that they can do with their eyes closed, but that's fine. You know what I mean? Who cares? What are we doing? It's still being
tattooed by a monk. Like, this monk picked it up for me.
It
says dumbass on the back.
Right.
It means peace and loyalty.
That's why if you put it on my back, man, there's so much happening back there. If you can pretty much a monk can tattoo, as long as it's in Thai, that narrows down the number of people that can really see it. Or really read it, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, have you had a spot that actually hurt? I have a tattoo on my back that on my spine, I had to keep taking breaks.
The rib hurt me. I got, I had, I've got, there's an artist that I work with or that I used to work with in Vegas quite a bit, who does that old school traditional Americana style, and I wanted him to design a couple of really unique pinup girls, kind of in that Sailor Jerry style, but I didn't want them to be something right off the paper, flash art. I wanted them to be unique. So I told him what I wanted, and I wrote this play called First and Last Month, and in in the play, there's one female character, 4 males and 1 female. And I always, as I was writing this play, I envisioned this woman looking a certain way. You can't help but do that. And so I kind of wanted a pinup style of her, and he did a great job. But I was traveling, so he called a fellow artist of his in Austin, Texas, and I was going to get both of these pinups, one on either side here. And I booked this guy for pretty much a whole day, on the day that the shop was closed. And man, when he put needle to rib, I knew it was going to be a really, really long day. We got one done, but the other one had to go on the back. My back was pretty much a clean slate at the time, but the ribs. So now the other rib is kind of filled with smaller pieces, but God, that was a pain. And but everything else was doable. None of my pieces are super large, so everything was manageable.
Yeah, I usually do 7 to 9 hour sessions. Like I do like big pieces. I only see my artist. I go to the same guy. I only see him maybe once every 3 months or so. Yeah. So we usually do like big epic sessions. But we did my foot, and I have the whole top of my foot covered, and that was maybe a 3-hour session. And usually I'll like take a nap. I'll eat some Twizzlers. We'll watch some Joe Rogan. We'll hang out and have a good time. No, I was mother effing him left and right from like the first 5 minutes of this foot tattoo. Oh my God. He got right in between.
Oh,
pinky. That was so bad. Yeah. He hit a nerve, and I threw my fist on the table. He thought that I was gonna knock him out. Like he backed up for a second.
Yeah.
He was scared.
That hurt. But when you get to, and sometimes you have to do that to get the piece that you want, obviously. Yeah. But if it's too painful, it takes the fun out of it, and that's you got to. So it's a fine line we walk.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a sadist. Like I got my last tattoo done, and then immediately at the shop did the 1 chip challenge. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like the world's hottest potato chip. It's like 7 million Scoville units or something stupid like that, or like 7 billion. And so I got done with my tattoo, and then they recorded me just leaking all these fluids from my eyes, my nose, my mouth, just all this mucus and drool because I had eaten this damn near poisonous chip, apparently.
God, that was a day of torture.
Oh, it was fun though. You know what? It was a lot of like emotional therapy for me. I was going through some hard stuff, and I just needed something to like get that energy out. But I don't like screaming. I sang in a metal band for a while, but I don't really like yelling or screaming unless it's in music. Yeah. And I had no gigs going on or anything like that. So I was like, I need something to get all this out physically, and working out at the gym is just not doing it for me.
Right. Yeah. No, it can be very therapeutic, man. It's nice. I compare it to when my grandmother used to go to the beauty salon, and she would sit there and just talk to the hairdresser and all the other girls. It's kind of our version of that. If you get a good artist who understands the bedside manner aspect of it, it could be pretty fun. And that's the tricky part about getting tattooed on the road. I have to feel that vibe when I walk in. It's got to be a good connection. If you walk into places where the artist looks at you like it's your honor to be there, and that's kind of like when I'm like, see you later. There's these guys, guys and girls, but I've there were a lot of good ones out there, and it's once you find one that works well for you, or referrals are good too, but it's nice to like you see your guy every 3 months. That's a nice standing appointment. That's a lot of fun. Oh,
I love it. Well, he lives in Arizona, and he comes back to Ohio to visit me and a couple other specific people, so it's always a nice treat when he's in town. I get to go catch up with him, get a tattoo and everything. With all these tattoos that you do have, and between the experience of all your tattoos and the experience of hosting all these shows, would you be willing, like if you got the offer to host Ink Master or something like that, one of these tattoo shows, be a judge on there? Would you be like a guest judge?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, Ink Master would. That would be. I've never even really thought of that actually, but that would be. That would be a pretty cool gig, and I like that's the kind of schedule that I like. A great thing about game shows is you shoot a whole week's worth of shows in a day. So you do your whole season in about a week and a half, which is kind of nice to be able to kick back, and it allows you to do other things. On game shows, when somebody, when the host says, all right, we'll see you tomorrow with our returning champion, they're just running back, changing clothes, coming back and shooting the next one. It's so that's nice. And I'm sure they do that on Ink Master as well. All reality shows are kind of done within a 2.5, 3 week stretch. But yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think Dave Navarro does a pretty good job though on that. He kind of fits that dark, that the set is real dark and kind of eerie at times. But and there are a lot of really cool artists that would be great judges on that show too. But in television, if it ain't broke, you don't mess with it. So.
No, absolutely. That's what I said.
Maybe if they do a syndicated version, I'll step in. Be ready for that one.
That'd be awesome. I dig that. How does the pay work for that then? So you film your whole season in like a week. Then do you just get paid for all that at once, or do they send you like monthly checks?
No, you get paid at once, and it's usually per episode. So
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter if the episodes are spread out over 35 weeks or if they're all done. Which is nice, but it's you got to be smart with your money. I mean, if you're going to make,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, you got to be responsible with it.
Yeah. But my dad was always really good about teaching us that kind of thing, and the investments are something I enjoy. But it's if you're going to get all of your cash at once, you got to be able to. You better know how to budget. It's when that check hits, it looks really nice. You just got to remember you're only getting 2 of them this year. So.
Yeah. Now, are you bound by any sort of contract then, or could you do like The Price is Right and then go jump over and do Deal or No Deal and then go do Family Feud, or are you like bound by contracts to specific game shows?
Well, it depends. It depends on the deal and the amount of exclusivity you're willing to offer. There's a monetary value to that. If somebody's going to offer you a certain amount of money and it's an amount of money that you're comfortable with, then you will offer them more. I like to, because I do, I only work in the unscripted world, whether it be game shows or competition shows or reality shows. So I try to, what I do is I say exclusive and brand. So if I'm doing a game show, let's say I'm doing Price is Right, then no, I won't run and do Family Feud. It's exclusive in the game show genre, but that would not include like an America's Got Talent, which is more of a competition show. So there, and you have reps for all of that. You know what I mean? They kind of weed through all of that, and if they're good, they explain it to you and let you know what you're getting into. But I've been lucky. I've never had any issues. When I was at E Entertainment, I was there for 13 years, and they allowed me to do just about anything I took to them. As long as it wasn't Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood, they were cool with it. And as long as they had first priority, they pretty much approved everything. So I think if you're professional, if everybody's professional, it's usually pretty smooth sailing. Nobody wants any problems,
Yeah. No, I like that a lot.
Now, you are known as the $50 million, you've given away about $50 million worth of cash and prizes with all your travels and all that. Do you have anybody that you might not know their name, but somebody that was on the live show that the guests come down and that it just, they hit you like with a ton of bricks. They were such an funny guest or outlandish guest. Does that happen often?
Yeah, well, yeah. Whenever there's a big win, it's really nice. And I said it once, and after I said it in an interview, I felt kind of corny for a moment, but then I realized that it was accurate. But when you love what you do, the way I love hosting game shows, whenever a contestant wins, a little bit of you wins along with them, because you're sharing that moment, and that enhances your life. I mean, it's impossible to have a bad day when you're a game show host. It's impossible. Nobody, I don't know. I know a lot of game show hosts, and none of us ever dread going to work because it's not going to be a bad day. You know what I mean? I mean, even if nobody wins, you're still playing games, so how bad is that going to be? But the one contestant that stands out in my mind, I was hosting a show called Powerball Instant Millionaire. This is probably 10 or 12 years ago. It was a syndicated show that was produced by the Powerball Lottery. And it was through this show that I was able to award $1 million to a contestant for the first time. And we got to do it quite often. I mean, listen, Powerball, their budget's nothing to snuff at. You know what I mean? It was, they got the money. But the first time I awarded a contestant $1 million, it was this guy who I want to say was probably early 30s. And he had just retired from the Air Force. He had 4 children of his own. And he and his wife had just adopted her brother's children, 2 more. I don't know the backstory on that. I didn't feel it was appropriate to ask, but suffice to say, they probably did something wonderful for those children. So when it turned out that he won $1 million, there are very few people that are going to put that money to better use than that family. So, and just the way he thanked me, and I'm like, you won this. I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I was just the vessel. You're the one that won this money. It's not my money, and you're the one who won it. So you're welcome, but you did it. So that was meaningful. I just like to see people win things that I know are going to make a difference. Sometimes, even if it's only $5,000, that could get people out of credit card debt. Even if it's just a refrigerator, maybe they haven't been able to afford a new refrigerator, and maybe the one that they've got now clunks and knocks all night long. The vacation, like the woman, who was able to go to Las Vegas and get on an airplane for the first time. It's always a win, and what seems like so little to some means so much to others. And so there's a little bit of something in each one for me, a little bit of something in each contestant.
Now, have you ever had a contestant where you didn't want them to win?
No.
They came on, they had like an attitude or something, or just like a vibe.
There have been some that, and I'm getting we have another interview in like 3 minutes, guys. I'm loving this time with you, and I hate to cut it short, but
I was just looking too. I'm like,
no, you're good,
buddy.
Look, I'm not the Dalai Lama. I don't fall in love with every person that I see, and I don't only see good. You know what I mean? I get annoyed like anybody else, but like I circling back to something I said earlier, when I'm hosting the show, it's about the audience. It's about as much as it is about the contestant. So if somebody, I don't have to go out and have a beer with these people, you know what I mean? Yeah. I would love if people would subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's great. And we have another one as well called The Host with the Most, which is youtube.com/Todd Newton TV. And that has video clips from all the interviews that we do on the Host with the Most podcast. And all of this stuff is available on the website, but it's good stuff. It's a lot, we have a lot of fun, and and that's what it boils down to. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to provide content, whether it's on television, online, on our podcast. We're just trying to, thank you for that. We're just trying to make friends here and entertain people for, an hour at a time or so.
Hell yeah. Well, we're coming up to the end, as you said here. I know that you got to run. So usually what we do at the end of the episode is we go around, we give a final word, whether it's like fortune cookie thing, positive affirmation, some sort of advice to give to the crowd. usually we let our guests go first, but I know that you got to get out of here. You got another interview. We really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate your time. So I'm going to have you go first. Change it up a bit. Any last word that you would like to say to the audience before you go?
Look, I think it's all about authenticity no matter what we're doing here, and we all come from different roads. We've all got different things on our minds. We've all got different bumps we take along the way, but we also have different things that make us happy. So I think at the end of the journey, no matter how long or how short it may be, hopefully it's longer. I think the secret is to just put a smile on your face so that when you're long gone, people look back and they think, man, that's a guy or a girl that had a hell of a ride. And from the looks of it, they seem to enjoy every moment of it. So I just, I hope people are enjoying whatever they're doing today and tomorrow. And if not, shake it off and find something that lights your fire, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderfully said. Thank you again so much for being on here. It was an absolute pleasure. We would love to have you on the show again. Definitely going to be checking out when you're going to be in town and trying to get some tickets and try to get on that stage with you.
I hope so, guys. I really enjoyed it. Best of luck to both of you. That's it, man. It'll be waiting for you. Hey, best of luck, guys. Thank you for giving me some time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank
you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, Todd.
All right, guys. You too.
Thank you. Oh, I guess it's my turn to say goodbye. So for my lesson of the day is love what you do. We got to interview Todd, and he literally his excitement for other people winning prizes was something that he could have easily. How many times do you see somebody get something and you let it have a little bit of jealousy in you? And he sits there and gives things away all the time. Being able to see how you're influencing others' lives like he did and he does. Like, oh, they want a fridge to, oh, they want $1 million. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's something that's helping some people, and he sees the difference it's making. See what you're doing in others' lives and how you're blessing them. And instead of thinking you're doing nothing, just see that you're doing something bigger than yourself and know that it's not always about us.
Absolutely. And here we go with Bob Seymour.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to just go where I always go, man. Just go out there and make a difference, man. Go out there and love people. Lay your agendas down and do stuff for other people, man. It's so, I don't know how to even put it into words, but it's so fulfilling when you help somebody, especially somebody who can't do anything to repay you. So just go out there and love where you're at, love the people around you. Look for opportunities to help somebody out and just make a smile come on somebody's face. I love what Todd said, man, about, having people remember you, man, as somebody that was just a great person. So just go out there and love people. Try to make a difference in your world, in somebody else's world, and I look forward to meeting some of you out there. So just go out and have a great day. Enjoy your life and help somebody else enjoy theirs. So God bless, and I'll see you guys next week from Alabama.
Beautifully said. So Brandon has disappeared from the couch. I can see the screen in the background here. I'm not sure where he is, but I have the door closed and I'm staring at it. So if he thinks I'm sneaking up on me, he's out of his damn mind. He's got another thing coming. What I like to leave people with today. So whatever you love, whatever you're passionate about, continue to study it and study it from different cultures. One of the things that I really love is tattoos. You can't see the ones that I have because I have them covered purposefully as of now. Eventually, I'll have more on my arms and everything and a bit more visible. But as of right now, all my tattoos are currently covered. And one of the tattoos that I always really wanted to get is that stick and poke that Brandon was talking about, where there are cultures where tattoos are a huge part of their culture, and stick and poke is a path of it's a rite of passage to get a stick and poke done. And so I would really, really love to be able to go and get that from my chest just down, just that tribal art stick and poke. However, I never knew about this new technique, or I guess not new to me technique with the bamboo. And now I really want to look into that and see if maybe I want to get something in that style as well. So by going to other cultures, studying other cultures, and finding the things that you love and how they do it, it'll give you a better perspective on not only how people in general live their lives, but maybe on how you could live your life in a broader sense. So that's my challenge to you. Find something that you love, whether it's tattoos or cooking or sports or whatever it may be, and see how people do it in other countries. Try to figure out somebody else's perspective. And it's just Bob and I. Thank you so much to everybody for being here today. It was an absolutely wonderful episode. I really appreciate everybody who liked, shared, comments, and subscribed.
Yep.
Like I said, every episode, sharing this is the best way to help us. Podcasts, we grow by word of mouth more than anything. If you have somebody who you thought would be interested in this, share it to them. Share it on your Facebook. Anytime that you share something, or whether it's a clip of our videos, a picture that you screenshot of one of us making a funny face, something like that, tag us in it. We love to see that stuff, and then it really does help us out. Everybody, have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Stay safe. We love you all, and we will see you all next time,
God
bright
bless.
early, same time, same place.